Just wanted to run through and just reflect a little bit. We mentioned that we've been on the market for 3.5 years. And, when we joined AIM, those 3.5 years ago, what we've come across, and that's the war in Ukraine, which shot energy prices up and really causes an issue, certainly in the CEA market and the ag tech sector. And because of the energy crisis. We've had the aftermath of Brexit in 2020 and then the pandemic, which has also helped us in some regions where we're seeing onshoring coming back into the UK, especially with contract electronics side of the business. We've seen world elections. We see it currently in Germany, recently had it in America, and what an effect it has globally on tariffs. So we're seeing the effect of that. And we've seen the economic downturn, certainly here in the UK, and the stock market downturn resulting in undervalued companies on the stock exchange. So what have we achieved in that time? A lot of doom and gloom, but out of all of that, in those challenging times, revenue growth has gone up 62%. Our margin growth has gone up 56%. We've done 2 acquisitions in AgTech and the passive fire protection divisions, and they're really 2 really key acquisitions for us. The passive fire protection business, as Sean's just mentioned, there's a lot of buildings out there. There's over 20 years worth of work, and ours is a unique solution. We haven't got lots of competition in the market, so it's really unique to us. In the ag tech side of the business, we've got a stable over 30-year business within Tomtech. And in light science technology, we've developed a fantastic sensor product. And hopefully you'll go and get to see it on the stand. But this little fella here is really going to be the making of our group. And this is the long-term future of the business. Because I think it was Christopher mentioned earlier, what was our expectations? This is not a UK product alone. This is a global product. This can go in broad acres. This can go in the enclosed environment. So I expect to see 50, 100, 1 million pieces of these going out globally over the next few years. And with a value of anywhere between, depending what's in this solution at any one time, could it be anywhere from £750 per unit up to £2,000 per unit. And so we see big growth in this. And we also see a big growth in recurring revenue because they have to be refurbished after 12 months. Batteries need recharging, and we swap them out and we recharge them. And obviously being out in the field, they get battered. So there's a refurbishment side to it, but also the software platform where we're providing the data for these businesses, these growers, so that they become more valuable and reduce the costs in their farming to become more profitable. So we see this as big value in the future for us. In the passive fire protection side, as I mentioned, lots of buildings to be done and over 20 years worth of work. We stabilised, as Jim mentioned, the overhead despite of the 2 acquisitions. So we're really proud of that, and that continues to monitor our costs as we go forward. We've developed 4 core products with over 84 different variants within that. And that's quite a lot of products. When we came to the market 3.5 years ago, we needed the money to develop the products, and we've certainly done that. So seeing the commercialization of lighting products, which are already out there, and we've recently completed an order in Europe that Craig touched on, which we announced last year. We see a lot more lighting orders in the short term, and then in the medium to long term, a lot more sensor contracts coming through. The pipeline is over £50 million for the group. That's quoted business that we've got for the group. So that keeps continually growing. And obviously we focus on converting that for our revenue. New divisions in the PFP and an entry into 2 new markets. It's really important, when you're entering a new market and putting technology in there, is it a good market to go into? Huge growth, global, but in the AgTech Centre side of the business of over 3.7 billion, but in the passive fire here in the UK locally, 50 billion. And as Jim mentioned, H2 FY24, we were profitable and cash generative. So it's really important that we are generating our own cash. We don't expect to come back to the market unless there's some brilliant opportunity for us. It's important that we generate our own cash going forward, and so that we continue to develop and move into the markets. I'm going to skip some of the ag tech slides because you've heard it all and we're running out of time, and really focus on the group strategy, which I think is a lot more important in the time that we've got. I feel that we've turned a corner in these last 3.5 years. It's really a new horizon for the group. We've developed the product, we've done the trials, all of which takes time, and now we will see commercialized products coming through in the ag tech space, especially. In the PFP, it's happening now, and we're gaining revenue. And the scalability, I think somebody asked of the team, you're looking at 5 or 6 members on a team, £1.5 million worth of revenue on a pump. We've already got 3 pumps. A 4th one will be coming soon. And I expect this to scale so that you will see 10, 15 pumps as we move forward, and then you can see the revenue coming forward, and we can speed up jobs by putting more assets within a building so they're done quicker. We really de-risk the business model. If you're in one sector, one market, selling one product, you could be a real risk. We're not that. We've got 3 clear divisions in the ag tech space, PFP, and the contract electronics side of the business, which really de-risks our business model as a group. And what you're seeing and will continue to see is that leveling up of revenue from contract electronics, the passive fire coming through, and then the ag tech starting to level up with the passive fire, with the contract electronics, which really will start showing the increase in margin and that cash generation. We've got a good group market opportunity, 120 billion, huge number, and the chaps have gone through and explained the breakdown of that. So where do I want to see take the group? Where do I see the vision? In my view, at the moment we're circular of 12 million. I expect that we can get this up to 50 million quite quickly over the next 5 years. So I'm going to drive that revenue with our team to get it to 50 million pounds. Selling hardware and software products is going to give us that recurring revenue. And as I mentioned, we expect to see generating circular 20% of recurring revenue within that ag tech space. And that's really going to create value for the group moving forward. Continue to build on cash generation within the group. We also look at acquisitions as we've got the cash available, but how we structure acquisitions is really important to make sure that we're not using our cash. We haven't diluted in shares to do our acquisitions. We just structured them very sensibly and done earnouts and deferred, and we will continue to do that approach. Increasing our gross margin, as I mentioned earlier, is all about the leveling up. We're already seeing that. We're already seeing the PFP division revenue and the margins that's making is making a huge difference to the group. So the more buildings that we can do, the more cash we will generate through that sector. And we expect to continue to do that. And I've mentioned how we're going to do that. Creating partnerships is key. If it's being specified, it is crucial. So we get specified if it be in the ag tech space, or creating partnerships. Sean mentioned the portfolio of businesses within the passive fire protection business. People like Vinci, all of these large organizations have got portfolios of buildings which need remedial work doing on them. So for us to partner with them will then give us visibility if it be they've got 10 buildings, or some of our customers have got 300 buildings. Now, we're not going to be able to do those buildings in 12 months. It's a stage program and a set program over a period of years. And it's important, if we can get those partnerships, then we got that visibility moving forward and that commitment, which everybody wants to see. Um, in being specified is another thing within the passive fire. Being specified, the Injectaclad material being specified is a real big winner for us, and we see that continuing as well. But also being specified for large projects in the agtech space, if it be for lighting or if it be a software control system, irrigation systems, being specified is key, especially on new builds. We're going to manage to get this revenue up by expanding globally. We're not here just in the UK. And you might want to say, well, how are we going to do that as a small company? That's through those partnerships. We are moving towards distribution partners who will sell our products, resellers of our products. With the sensor technology, it means that they're selling locally to local growers, and we can manage the software from a distance, which is key to keeping that recurring revenue and the information and data that we're providing. And that's the same with lighting. You know, we've mentioned that we've signed a huge deal really with Agrilux. You know, they're one of the leaders in lighting. And you imagine them then selling some of our products through their channels is going to make a really big difference to us in the future. Using our current technology model to expand digitally and monitoring greenhouse gases, the world's changing, and one of the things which is really key is how do we monitor and how do we get real live data? And our sensors do numerous jobs. You know, we're focusing on the ag tech side of things, and Richard mentioned earlier, Meredith mentioned, you know, how important greenhouse gases are in the farming community and globally. So developing a methane CH4 and ammonia NH3 sensors is really important for our future development. And that can go back into a similar model of what we've got here, approach. And so we will continue to do that. What will that give us? Well, you know, watercourses. We see, especially in London more recently, there was a high fine for pollution in water. Farms obviously pollute a lot of watercourses through the fertilizers that go on the ground, but how do we monitor them? Having real life data, we could have one of these floating in a river course, ponds, canals, even in the sea. So there's lots of ways that we can see that our sensor technology will become an environmental sensor moving forward. Air pollution is also considered. You know, when we buy a property currently, what do we look for? How good it looks, how many rooms it might have, the location, energy certificate. What energy certificate has it got? Broadband. Broadband's generally important because some of us are working from home. So, but would we look at how healthy it is to live when you're buying a house or leasing a house? You know, would you consider how healthy the area is? Could you see one of these sensors being on side of the house or in the street? Providing that data and providing a score so that, as your energy certificate does, how healthy it is and can it be improved? And is this way of monitoring for councils? You know, we look at traffic systems going through towns and city centres, you know, and blocking certain vehicles or putting a charge on them. This is another way. So we see that happening as well as we move forward. And more recently, we got asked in South Africa to put our sensor in to monitor carbon, how much carbon was in the ground and how much certain plants would put carbon back into the ground. And the reason was this: it wasn't what the crop was growing, it was creating carbon credits. Carbon credits are obviously a huge tool, but they're graded. As you might know, carbon credits are graded. And the information that generally is provided with carbon credits is old data. It's not real lifetime data. And so we see a future of where we're providing the source, the sensor technology, which is collecting that data, which can then give it that right banding for carbon credits. And that's going to be a big business in the future. So that's something which is more recent, and we're seeing more of that. And that goes back to that real-time monitoring and replacing that current methods. You know, if you own the data, as we will do, we will own the data that we're collecting. It means that we can sell it on. We don't have to mention where the data is necessarily come from, what company, but it could be a really good use of how you create recipes, if it be for strawberries, if it for lettuce growing, if it be for potatoes. You're starting to create the ultimate recipe and what you need by that data. So looking forward to the next 12 months and beyond, it's about building a better technology group. We believe that we've got the right equipment, the right assets, the right team, as you've seen today, to continue a real sensible approach, but a clear strategy moving forward. We've got a real prosperous group here in some really key growing markets. And I believe we're certainly undervalued. Currently we sit at circa £10 million market cap. One of our divisions is worth more than that. So if you're investing today, you're getting two divisions free. And those divisions are expanding at an awful quick rate. So this is really the time to invest in our company. We're really going places. We're very excited about the opportunities we're actually out there globally. And we hope that you certainly get the noise out there for us on our behalf, or invest in us and come on our journey.